Horror movies are well known for killing their characters off one by one, but these films are major exceptions to the rule. Fans have enjoyed seeing characters sliced, diced, and stabbed by a great medley of monsters. Death is a key aspect of the genre, so it's uncommon for a horror film to not indulge its bloodthirsty fanbase. One of the highest stakes ever in horror films is the idea that some of the victims, or even the protagonists themselves, might die. Death, after all, is one of the scariest events that could happen to a person. That's why many horror films capitalize on that fear. Horror films where no people actually die presents a deeper level of fear in their audience that's akin to torture. Hence, they can be even more frightening seeing as human lives aren't treated too cheaply. Moreover, the idea that these living, feeling, and thinking characters that are more relatable compared to sacrificial lambs in other horror movies could be anyone adds up to the fear factor. That being said, just because a horror movie has no deaths doesn't mean it's any less frightening. While most revel in the art of the kill, there are a few films that can deliver the scars without serving up corpses. Welcome to Best of Best Movies. Today we'll be counting down the 9 horror movies where no one actually dies. Number 9, Poltergeist. A ghost that isn't quite out for anyone's blood and just wants to make everyone's household life a living hell doesn't sound too terrifying on paper. But Poltergeist proved anyone who thought of that wrong back in its heyday. It starts in a rather cliched manner, for contemporary standards, where a family buys and occupies a dream home. Only, that dream home quickly became a nightmare when weird stuff started falling out of place. Gradually, malevolent spirits reveal themselves to the family as they try to possess the youngest kid in the household. After this film, most haunted house movies looked to it as a template. Number 8, Babadook. The Babadook was a surprise hit upon its release. Making back over 5 times its original $2 million budget, it soon became a horror cult classic. Focused on a young boy and his mother after the death of his father, a seemingly haunted storybook brings a demonic entity to their doorstep. Similar to Eraserhead, the Babadook draws its scares not from gore or death, but rather from a slow ramp in tension coupled with some truly excellent sound design. Just a simple knock on the door in this movie is enough to send you leaping under the covers. The design of the titular character is deceivingly simplistic, as his static facial expressions and his 2D animated movements will unnerve even the toughest of viewers. Number 7, Annabelle Comes Home. Annabelle Comes Home was decidedly less scary and serious than previous installments. While fans certainly enjoyed it, the consensus was that it was more fun than chilling. This is unsurprising, considering that the director of Annabelle Comes Home was the screenwriter for IT Chapter 2. While overall, the movie wasn't quite as terrifying as fans hoped, there's still a decent amount of scares and some excellent buildup of tension. Number 6, Stir of Echoes. Leave it to Stephen King to populate the horror genre with some sensible and minimalistic titles. Stir of Echoes continues the Horror King's trend as it's one such film where no one dies as well. That didn't mean horrific things didn't happen, as blue-collar father Tom Vitsky challenges her sister-in-law's notions of the supernatural. Tom, assured that the supernatural doesn't exist, allows his sister-in-law to put him in a trance. After that, Tom was in for the ride of his life as he's bombarded with several hallucinations and the ever-lingering feeling of paranoia that something's watching him. Number 5, The Amityville Horror. We're talking about the remake here, from 2005 starring Ryan Reynolds. If one can see past Reynolds' out-of-place physique in this film, then they're in for the jump scares and horrific imagery of their modern lives. It follows Poltergeist's template where a married couple moves into a countryside home. It doesn't take long before some odd events start happening. George, Reynolds' character, is also affected negatively by said events where he starts becoming more and more deranged the more he spends time inside the house. Number 4, Signs. Like Stephen King, M. Night Shyamalan is one of the most recognizable names in horror, and Signs is one of his most iconic pieces. It was so prominent back in the day that tons of parodies about it popped up like mushrooms. It also helps that Signs features a powerhouse cast. At its forefront is Mel Gibson, a family man and farmer whose crops suddenly started displaying some ominous and suspicious formations. It all boils down to the suggestion of alien life mucking around with his farm, which causes distress for his whole family. Number 3, 1408. 1408 stars a similar skeptical protagonist to Stir of Echoes. The lead male is a cynic who doesn't believe in the supernatural. In fact, he even makes it his job to debunk ghosts and many other horror phenomena as a book author. Then one day, he decided to ignore the warnings of a shady hotel manager and checked into a haunted hotel room. Sure enough, his faith or lack thereof is put to the test as several inexplicable anomalies started happening around him. Number 2, Flatliners. Flatliners tells the story of a group of medical students who decide to investigate what truly lies in the middle area between life and death. While their discoveries start as fascinating, they soon take a dark turn as their damaged minds begin to perceive nightmarish visions and repressed memories. Despite the misleading title, nobody stays dead. Although the characters go through truly traumatic experiences, they are always brought back to the land of the living just in time. While not necessarily the scariest film, Flatliners is psychologically upsetting, implying horrors that will stick with you after the credits roll. Unfortunately, the 2017 remake strays from what made the original great, instead opting to rely heavily on jump scares.
This was my fault.
Number 1, The Conjuring 2. The Conjuring series is known for having some of the most well-constructed and terrifying scares in horror movie history. Starting in 2013, The Conjuring kicked off its cinematic universe full of ghosts, demons, and dolls. Now spanning 8 films, with several more on the way, The Conjuring universe is known for its horrifying imagery, as well as some excellently crafted scares. That being said, many might find it surprising that almost half of these films have a death count of 0. Are there any horror movies with no deaths we've left out? Let us know in the comments. For more top 10s, be sure to subscribe to Best of Best Movies. Thanks for watching.